Hello, my name is Stephen Redman and welcome to another episode of Pastor's Library, the channel where we talk about everything to do with theology books, particularly books that might be on a reading list for your university course in Bachelor's or Master's in Theology, or a seminary course, or perhaps a course that you're doing online, a course that you are doing by correspondence course. Whatever it is, whatever has piqued your interest in a book, I hope we can help you with it. So today I want to deal with a question that's been sent to me, which is, where do I get hold of books on Pentecostal theology? Well, this is not as hard as it might seem. Firstly, let me make it quite clear to you, I was brought up with a classical Pentecostal background, and I am a pastor in a neo-Pentecostal church in England, part of a network of churches in the UK. This is an area that I can speak with a certain amount of authority on. And what I would say to you is that the answer is easier than it sounds, because you do this the way you would find out about almost any other area of theology. And the most common way is you look to theological journals. Now, you might say to me, well, Stephen, I'm not sure I'm ready for theological journals. Well, if you're looking for theology, that's where you will find very often shortish chapters that will deal with a particular area of theology, often on the cutting edge of theology. They are very good places to look. And in a second, I'll tell you why they're particularly good for you to look at. Here are three that I subscribe to. This one, the Journal of Pentecostal and Charismatic Christianity, which has had a new look and a new title recently. Most of the years that I've been getting this, it's been called the Journal of the European Pentecostal Association, JEPTA. It's had a change because the title was too much, it was confusing, and this is much more straightforward. And this gets some really good articles, it offers an awful lot to you, and it's not an unreasonably priced journal. 2 volumes a year, roughly about £40. It's very worthwhile. The one that is probably my favourite that I get is the Journal of Pentecostal Theology. It's been going for 31 years, and it has some of the top Pentecostal theologians in it. It really is a great brill journal. The one that I pay through the nose for, I think, is Numa, which is the Journal of Society for Pentecostal Studies. And again, this has been going a long time, 44 years. The very top people in Pentecostal theology write for this. Now, all of these will help you find out what to read, because every journal article has a bibliography, every journal article has an author's name, and what you do is you just go out there, use a search engine, you find out what other books they've written, you find out what items in their bibliography might interest you, read the book reviews, might then send off for a book. This is a great way of building your own library and helping you find out what is there. You've got to remember that Pentecostalism is, well, I don't want to say it's the only growth area in Christianity, because it isn't quite true, but it has provided the majority of growth to the Christian church worldwide in the last 100 years. The truth is that in the UK, Pentecostal churches and neo-Pentecostal churches, those are what we call new churches in the UK, they have grown dramatically in the last few years. And so since 1985, when we have seen real church growth in the UK, it has been mainly in those areas of church life. And of course, these people are growing up in the faith, wanting to write down their beliefs and going to Bible colleges and ending up with degrees and writing theology for us. And of course, a lot of them have been Pentecostals for years, but maybe not talked about that. And we've liked their writing, admired their writing, and we've seen them appear on the horizon as major theologians. But now, as you would expect, there's just this huge volume of Pentecostal theologians coming through because this is where the growth is. So this isn't to say there aren't some great Reformed theologians, some great Wesleyan theologians. There are loads. Thank God we live in a day when there are probably more good theologians out there writing than there have been for a long time. Thank God the days of liberalism are dead, at least on the pages of theological books. And I may have slightly overstated that, but it's generally true. So don't forget to make judgments based on what you find in theological journals. Now, there is this great publisher called CPT. These are based in Cleveland, Tennessee, and what they do is they publish Pentecostal theology at a lower cost than you might expect. So, I've just picked up 4 of them off my bookshelf. I think I've got about 15 of these. Really good theology books. This one's by Paul Schmidigal. It's called European Pentecostalism, Its Origins, Development and Future. This one is called A Pentecostal Biblical Theology by Roger Stronstand, who's a brilliant theologian. Here's one for you, A Great Guide to Fasting by Leroy Martin. I'd say this book is so good that if you don't want to fast, you probably need to not read Pentecostal theology. And there are quite a series of really good books out there, including this one, Pentecostals in the Academy, by Stephen Fettke and Robbie Waddell, which this one inspired me to do this video because it's got a chapter at the back of where do I read Pentecostal theology. When I say it inspired me, I've had the question sent in, but I read this and I thought, right, I need to address that question. And it's full of good ideas. And those books, they're like 11, 12, 13, 14 pounds. These are incredibly good value. There's some others here. This one by John Christopher Thomas, Towards a Pentecostal Ecclesiology. Towards a Pentecostal Theology of Worship by Leroy Martin. And the same author has also written Towards a Pentecostal Theology of Preaching. These are all really good books, all available in this excellent series by CPT. CPT have also started to publish a few commentaries. There's one on Psalms, this one by Roger Stronstand again on Mark's Gospel. This is good. Great for house groups leaders, this actually. A very good commentary for that. It isn't just CPT though. Sheffield Academic Press have published a whole series of really good theology books by Pentecostal authors. Max Turner, Power from on High, The Spirit of Israel's Restoration and Witness in Luke Acts. Pentecostal Spirituality, A Passion for the Kingdom by Stephen Land. Pentecostalism in Context, Essays in Honour of William Menzies, which this is a festschrift, but these have all got really good theology written in them by Pentecostals. And I would suggest to you, Sheffield Academic Press is another one you can search for. You just go to Amazon, type in Sheffield Academic Press, it will give you a list of everything that they do. And believe me, you will find it far too easy to spend money that way. You can do the same with CPT Press. You can find these things easily with search engines. It doesn't mean to say that it's only certain publishers, because mainstream publishers like Baker Academic, I've got things here by Frank D. Macchia. He's done an introduction to theology, a great book if you're starting bachelor's degree, very, very good, or seminary course, excellent. These are not the only ones. There are loads out there. For example, Redman's have just published a series called Pentecostal Manifestos. Now, you know what a manifesto is. Political parties publish a manifesto. Well, these are Pentecostal theologians publishing their manifesto. Wolfgang von Ney has done something about the crisis of global Christianity and the renewal of the theological agenda through Pentecostalism. Thinking in Tongues, contributions to Christian philosophy by Pentecostals. Justification in the Spirit, which is Creation, Redemption and the Triune God by Frank Macchia. There are loads of these. I've got half a shelf full of that particular series. There really are some excellent books out there which are devoted to a Pentecostal viewpoint. And please bear in mind, I'm not trying to bang a drum here. It's just a viewpoint. If you've got a Reformed viewpoint, you've possibly had the best range of books out there for years. But it's just that Pentecostals are producing a lot of material right now. And the Pentecostals have also got their viewpoint. And it's worth saying that systematic theology is always a strong point for Christians. Dogmatics, if you like, another name for them. Jonathan Black published a great systematic theology from an apostolic church viewpoint just a few years back. That's a good chunky door wedge book. There are at least 3 other really good Pentecostal systematics. Amos Young has published a great one called Renewing Christian Theology, Systematics for a Global Christianity. The one that I have probably liked the most since it came out has been Wolfgang von Ney's Pentecostal Theology, a great, manageable volume, good size, really good systematic. And the latest one is from Frank Macchia again, and he's done one called Tongues of Fire, a systematic theology of the Christian faith. I'm probably going to do a separate video on that, so watch out for that soon. So I hope that what this has done is helped you just realise that you find out the answer to this question like you do most things. Have a look in the journals, get authors' names, look in the bibliographies, look in the books that they've written online if you can get an excerpt, buy the ones that you need to. Again, follow the bibliographies through, because that will always lead you to other good theological writings. And just remember, not everything that's recommended by a Pentecostal is written by a Pentecostal. So there are some great things out there. There are also a range of Pentecostal commentaries. Gordon Fee contributed one. There are a number of really good ones which have all got something to offer. Particularly John Christopher Smith edited the Book of the 12, which has got 12 individual commentaries of the minor prophets. There's a whole range of them. It's been small, but it's getting wider. William Kay's just produced a really good one. So there are a lot of Pentecostal theological writings out there, and all I can say is watch this space. But whatever you do, please like what you've heard today, if you've liked it, of course, and also subscribe and click on the bell, and that way you'll know as soon as we release another episode of Pastor's Library. Until then, everyone, I'll just say bye!